Going to tackle ISO to Ortho number 2, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to my guide class. I've already set up my document, all right, Austin ISO to Ortho number 2, and I'm just going to take my rectangle tool, and we're going to draw the overall shape of my front view, which is 4.5 by 2 3/8. And then from here, I'm just going to bring this down into my document a little bit. I'm now going to draw a line, and my line is going to be at a negative 15-degree angle. So only thing I care about here is the angle. And it can be pretty long. It doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change my origin point to this top corner. And in that origin point, I'm now going to look over here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm verifying by that endpoint. That's referring to this section of the line. And I want my x to be at 1 1/4. And my y to be 0, and that's now going to give me the exterior shapes. Now I can go to my 2D polygon tool. I'm going to go to my visible class, and in my visible class, I'm just going to go around my item and trace that. From here, I'm now going to draw my circle, and my circle is going to be a 1/2 inch diameter, so that's going to be a 1/4 inch radius. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my origin point to verify to this section down here in this corner. And then from here I'm going to go in the negative, and then so negative 3/4 of an inch over from that origin point, and 3/4 of an inch up from that origin point. And then there's my circle. Next thing I need to do is I need to make a rectangle that's 2 inches wide, or I'm sorry, 2 inches long by 7/16 wide. So I'm just going to take this object here, and I'm going to make one that is 7/16 by -2. And from here I can take this by this corner here, and click that in. And lastly, I'm going to take a line that is going to be 2.5. So I'm just going to take my guide class again, and I'm going to go from this corner 2.5, and that's where that's going to end. So now I'm going to take my visible class and my rectangle tool, and I'm going to go from this point here, from this point here, I'm going to just draw this up, and I'm going to make my height 7/16, and then there's that object there. From here, I'm going to take my scaling option, and my scaling option is going to bring that right back to that particular point there. And now I've got my overall full object minus the line of 7/8. So I'm going to make a line in here. I'm going to change my origin point back down to this lower left-hand corner, and in my y, I'm going to make that 7/8. From here, I'm going to cast some lines that are in my guide class, both to the right-hand side The key to this drawing is all of the pieces of this drawing are going to give us different pieces of information. So, like, for example, I'm not going to know how big that piece is until I get to my top view. And I'll show you some tips and tricks here for that top view as we begin to draw that as well. The key is to draw all of these helpful things in the guide class, so it's very, very easy for us to erase them down the road. So up here, I'm just going to grab a normal point here, and I'm going to come across, and I'm going to make sure that I'm negative 7/16, and that's going to be the start of that. From here, I'm going to take a line, and my line from here is going to be 1.75. Now it's time to take this here I'm going to grab it from that point there to there. I'm going to then take that line that I drew, so let's send that to the back. That's Command B in case you forgot. Now I can take that individual line that I drew and get rid of that. You're going to see that my guide class is on the top. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And now I can take my 2D polygon tool and just draw this shape in here. Now what I don't know is I do not know where this line is going to show up here. Don't know that yet. I'm going to have to actually look at my right side view. So we'll just put some hidden lines in here real quick. Let's also put our center line in here. Let's come over to our guide class. And in our guide class, I'm just going to bring this object over. And that's really all the information that I need to kind of finish this object. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this in the visible class. There's that. I'm going to make one that goes like this for that object. And then what else I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my line, and my line is going to be in my guide class. And my guide class line is actually going to go from this line here, right? We're talking about this little section right here. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to the complementary angle, which is going to be a 60-degree angle, and it's going to end on that point right there. So as long as it says 60, you're good to go. Let's take our 2D polygon tool. Let's go over to our visible class, and I'm just going to start down here in this corner. We're going to come up, over, all the way down, and then back to our final object. We're going to send that to the back so it looks good. And now what I can do here is from my guide class, I'm now going to cast this point up and cast that point over. And then let's grab our visible class and just put in that last finishing touch here. It's time to go up to View, Class Options, Active Only. Let's go into our guide class, select it. We got a lot going on in our guide class here. We're going to select it all. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to go back into Class Options, so Show, Snap, Modify Others, to our Center Mark tool, down to our Center class, and click that in the circle. What we're starting to see here is we're starting to see what this object would look like. Now I can definitely tell you that I'm missing another line here. Mr. Austin just missed it, and that happens from time to time. But there we go. Now we're good to go there. And I probably should have also brought in my circle. A little bit of an angle there. I should have brought in my circle here. A lot of noise happening in the background from the woodshop class. A little distracting today. I'm just going to grab these three things here. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rotate it left. I'm going to grab it by that point right there. I'm just going to bring that down and put it in to position. So just grab that and put that right into position. And there we go. Now I can take that guideline individually out. But that's it. Now we're good to go on that particular object.